radio system?
He'll be on the trunk and the dispatch monitor. So he's primarily presenting the trunk system.
But he will be talking here too on the furniture. Very black. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, he'll be 8 and 9 miles.
No, we'll approve this bond. Later. Okay, we've already. We've already got it. We could. Christie put it together. We've already got it.
No, that's good.
Put it on here.
How you doing?
Okay, thank you for being here. If you'll stand for a word of prayer, we'll remain standing for our pledges. Prayer by David Barker.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day today and our many blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this meeting this morning. I thank you for each and every one that's in attendance and the families that are represented here today. I pray that you be with these commissioners as they make important decisions for you and for Van Zandt County. Father, I ask that you watch over us as we travel to our next destinations after this meeting today. I ask that you be with all of us as we carry on with our responsibilities each and every day. And I ask that you forgive us of our sins. And all this we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Okay. Call to order the regular session meeting of the Van Zandt County Commissioners Court on May the 11th, 2022, 9:02 a.m. Now, it's all members of the court, a quorum is established with all members of the court present. Item number 2, discuss and consider dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the meetings of the Commissioners Court and approval of same for April the 27th, 2022 and May the 4th, 2022.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Melton. Second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion about the minutes, corrections? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 3, discuss and consider approval of county bills for payment as submitted.
So move, Pearson.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pearson. Is there a second?
Second. LaFrance.
Second by Commissioner LaPrade. Any questions or discussion about the bills that's been submitted for payment? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4, discuss and consider ratifying of county bills as submitted.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner West,
Second, Pearson.
second by Commissioner Pearson. Any questions or discussion about the bills that's been submitted for ratifying? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. General business, is there any general, item number 5, any general business we need to be made aware of? Any announcements? Any announcements? I thought just you were getting ready to announce something.
I don't have anything.
I can't think of anything.
I got an announcement.
Okay.
I forgot a pen. Would you hand me one?
I will.
That's a request.
That goes under different.
Thank you.
Okay, being none, we'll move to public comment. Scott, anyone sign up for public comment? No one signed up. We'll move to item number 7, discuss and consider adopting order authorizing the sale of fireworks from May the 25th, 2022 through midnight, May the 30th, 2022 for Memorial Day. If we're going to sell the fireworks, authorizing them to sell, it has to be approved.
So move, Pearson.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Pearson. And got a second by Commissioner LaPrade. I mean, I don't think there's a burn.
No, sir.
Like that.
Everything's great.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 8, discuss and consider and approve dispatch console furniture and carpet for the from the American Rescue Plan. I can't even read the name. Mr. Black, Trot from Trot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may address the court.
Okay. So in part of the radio project, we decided that it was because of timing and because of markups that are normally associated with dispatch furniture provided by the radio vendors. An RFP was developed and put out for bids through HGAC 5. And we received 3 bids for the console furniture and carpet and a couple chairs. And those 3 proposals were received a couple weeks ago. We analyzed those, prepared a summary, executive summary, evaluated those. We had a stakeholders meeting to go over those, and those 3 of the stakeholders scored the proposals. The one that came out on top was a company called Zandt, and we then proceeded to look at their proposals. Some decisions were made on adjusting what was going to be purchased. We went back to Zybex and asked them for a best and final offer number 1. They came back and gave us some pricing, gave us some more drawings on what that furniture would be. And this was the furniture that was kind of in question was mostly for the supervisor's office at the dispatch center, not the main dispatch area where the 3 consoles would be. That was always in. So once that we went through that, that was kind of looked at, a final decision was made on what would be purchased. We asked for a best and final offer number 2, came up with a price of $67,900.71. That includes 3 dispatch console furniture setups, new carpet for the whole, what's going to be the new dispatch center. And that goes into the supervisor's office as well. And then 2 chairs that are very similar to what they have now that are rated 24/7 chairs for use 24/7. And so that price came in at the $67,971. And I have provided, I think, Chad, you provided to the commissioners the scoring and the pricing kind of summary. And so if you guys have any questions, I'll happy to answer anything with regards to the proposals and the evaluation and the results and things like that.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Black? Furniture is expensive.
This type of furniture is expensive. It's very, when you start talking about dispatchers using, sitting there for long periods of time, having to be able to see those screens and have multiple screens that can adjust so that your eyes, the focal length in your eyes are good. Ergonomics, these consoles can be in the seated position, and they can also stand up, so they can go anywhere in between. One of the really cool features in Zybex, and one of the reasons they scored very high on features and functions, is that they have a way of storing the settings for each dispatcher or multiple settings for each dispatcher. So a dispatcher can have a stored set of settings for the height of the desk. There's little air conditioners that blow on them, little small fans, let me say that. There's also heaters. And so you can set all these in addition to the lighting, because commonly with glare on the screens, the lights overhead may be turned out and the lights on the console provide the lighting for the dispatcher to do their job. So you can save all these settings, and when the dispatcher comes on duty, they can just pull that up, everything adjusts, they're ready to go. They want to go to the seated position, they hit their seated position, it lowers down, they sit down in their chair and they continue to work. So there's that flexibility of standing and sitting because it is, what are the shifts? 12 hours. So that's one of the really cool features. And like I said, one of the features that probably scored them much higher than the other two companies that proposed don't have that level of sophisticated saving of memory locations and all. But yes, it is expensive furniture. It's all custom made to fit that room perfectly and to provide not only storage, but areas in the console furniture to put the CPUs, the computers that actually drive the dispatching console, the CAD, the 911, all of those things that the dispatchers need to do their job. Fit nicely in. And so it'll be, they got to pick all the colors they wanted and everything like that. So yes, it is. It's not cheap, but it's going to be really nice.
And do they support it after we purchase?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because I'm one that when I buy a vehicle, I don't need all the bells and whistles because that's going to give me problems down the road.
Sure. They've got a warranty that's very similar to everybody in the industry. And, really the only moving parts are really the lift of the desk. A lot of it is just, surfaces, wood surfaces. But the screens themselves can move this way. And of course they can go up and down too. So there are some moving parts. There's a full grounding kit on these so that it can be properly grounded to the electrical system. I'm trying to think some of the other features. Like I said, new carpet throughout. It will not go into the radio room in the back there. It will be in the dispatch center and in the supervisor's office. And the two new chairs, because I think they're in there too right now. So.
And is that supervisor's office already there?
It's part of that area.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
I don't
it's built out.
remember going to the supervisor.
No, it's not split up.
It's wide open.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, there's lots of stuff on
We're talking about building a wall.
Well,
and
actually,
making a
the
supervisor's
room kind of
office.
has a separated office right now. There's, as you enter, help me out. I think this is just to the north of the existing dispatch area.
Gentlemen, what it is, in order to exit that time, in order to meet the time frame window and give us the room we need for where we're growing, we moved from where dispatch currently is located to just across the wall to where the secretaries were currently working. So we're going to build a new dispatch there.
Okay.
And that has got an office space that originally when the facility was built was a jail administrator's office.
Correct.
Well, now that will be the dispatch supervisor's office, and the
Okay.
dispatch will be in that room there. And this will allow us to go in and just start fresh and build it. And then we can cut right over versus having to move the dispatchers, tear the dispatch office apart, put it back together, which we really ain't got time at this moment to do.
Okay.
And there's a nice room in the back there for the radio equipment that'll be in racks. And depending on the level of equipment that's installed there at the jail, it will all be able to be housed back there and the cables run outside to the tower. So that's really nice, all self-contained and secured.
So we're going to
What kind of-
relocate the dispatch.
Yes, sir.
What kind of timing, are they gonna be able to get this any time
For the grant.
for a grant? Yeah.
So in dealing with the ECOG grant, and that's another reason why we went this route. In talking to the COG, we found out that the ECOG grant is really allocated for infrastructure and it wouldn't cover furniture. So, but the ARPA money could. could be used for this. And that's what, that money is going to be used for the furniture, and the ECOG money is going to be used for associated radio infrastructure to support the dispatch center. The next topic being the big RFP, but as we get down the road on that, we'll determine what all can be purchased with that amount of money and gotten in. And this furniture is about a 90-day turnaround. So it'll be in place, and then the radio consoles can come in. The radio consoles are essentially a small computer with a screen and associated headsets and all that. So
Can they up that, I mean, can they lower that 90 days? Because that's gonna really push the time to that.
it's all of them have about 90 days because it is absolutely 100% customized. You know, the surfaces are cut to the size. And so as soon as this is approved, the next step will be finalizing the design. And once a purchase order is cut, using the HGAC purchase procedures, which are pretty clear cut and simple, then they will start the manufacturing. And, you know, it could be that they could pull it in a little bit. We'll have to talk to them about that. But what they presented, all three companies presented right around 90 days for manufacturing, shipping, and installation. And the installation is only about 1 week. It's not real sophisticated stuff, but the room will have to be prepped some with electrical circuits in the right spots and cleaned out and ready for them to come in. So we've got some time to get that done and all. So
So our ECOG grant is gone after end of August.
And the way we understand the ECOG grant is that it has to be, and the terminology is the money has to be allocated by August, and by November, it has to be spent. And so there is some, we kind of we were shooting for the August, but you know, to have it completely spent too, you know, that would be optimum, right? Don't use that last 3 months or so. But the schedule is so, and that's another reason why we went with this sooner, because when that furniture is in place, then there's a place for them to put the radio gear and get the dispatchers moved over. They'll have to be continuing to operate on the existing VHF systems. So there's some integration there that's required, and that's in this next RFP, that the selected vendor will have to integrate those existing systems into these dispatch consoles for what we'll call an interim solution. And then when the new P25 trunk radio system comes in, they'll upgrade those to work on that system. And it actually will be really good because the cutover will be much more simple, as Chad was talking about. Trying to squeeze all this new equipment in the dispatch center now and have the dispatch center dispatchers still doing their job would have been very difficult. And having this new space allows for things to be done while they still do their job over here. So.
Okay. Jennifer, do you have anything? Okay, Sandy, everything good, okay. And I don't know, how do you say that company's name?
It's Zybex.
Zybex?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the dispatch console furniture and carpet
So I,
in the amount of $67,971? Got a, from Zybex, got a motion by Commissioner LaPrade. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second by Commissioner West. Any other questions for Mr. Black? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 9, discuss and consider accepting requests for proposals for a P25 trunk radio system. Mr. Black, you may address the court.
So this RFP, I believe. Sure. So Keith Witt with Prod is on Zoom. So the two of us are going to kind of present this and answer any questions y'all may have. going to share a small presentation. I'll kind of go over what the RFP includes and some critical dates associated with it. All right. So to start off with, we'll go over the content of the RFP, the finalization of the RFP, how the RFP will be advertised and distributed, talk about addendums to the RFP, the schedule and critical dates that I mentioned. The next RFP will be one for tower infrastructure, and we'll talk about that a little bit, and then I'll open it up for any questions y'all may have. Keith and I will answer those. So to start with, this RFP includes all radio, microwave, and associated networking equipment that's required for the P25 trunk radio system. That includes equipment at the sites, and we're talking about the tower sites. There's equipment that goes at the dispatch center as well to support the dispatch consoles and many other things. And then there's subscriber equipment, and the subscribers are the radios, the handheld radios, or the radios that are mounted in the vehicles, the mobile radios. There's also some radios called control stations, and those are typically mounted on a desk, and those are used with an antenna on the outside of the building to transmit out, but it's essentially a mobile radio. There'll be a backup radio very similar to what I just explained, sitting right next to each console position in the dispatch center. If the dispatch consoles lose connectivity to the system, that is their means of continuing the dispatch if that system happened to go down. So that's a backup. That's included in this RFP. So the RFP is 5 sections. The first section is information for responders. So this is kind of a general setup. And I know you guys have seen the RFP, and it's quite long, but the first section is information for responders. The next section is general terms and conditions. So there's a lot of things in there that we want to make sure that this vendor is understanding that they're going to have to sign a contract that has these terms and conditions. So that's a large section. Section 3 is where we really get into the technical and performance requirements and specifications. That some of the items that you read about in there are talking about the coverage requirements. What type of coverage in the radio system is needed for the county? Where are the in-building requirements? What are the buildings that are mandatory? What are the other buildings that we want them to analyze? There's a list of sites in there that tower sites that some of them are your existing sites, some of them are locations where y'all could build towers. Those are in there for the vendors to look at. But all the technical and performance requirements that the vendors are going to be held responsible for are in section 3. That's kind of the technical meat of the RFP. Section 4 goes into system equipment and specifications, and those are the parameters on the actual radios and different parts of the system. So those get kind of technical in there as well. And then the last section goes over installation, testing, maintenance, and warranty. So that section talks about installing the equipment, how it's tested, and make sure that the guarantee that they provided for coverage is met before you pay them any money. It also goes into the maintenance and warranty of the system. Then there's a couple attachments. Attachment 1 is a proposal pricing sheet, and that's going to be an Excel file that's provided. But initially, when the RFP goes out, it'll be a PDF. That proposal pricing sheet is very important. It's about 6 pages, I believe, in Excel, and we ask for pricing in a certain way and broken up a certain way, so that we can get proposals back from all the responders, and we can analyze that thoroughly. If you don't use a proposal pricing sheet, you get back all sorts of stuff, and it's almost impossible to analyze. So we've seen in our 40 years of doing this, that proposal pricing sheet is very important. So that's attachment 1. Attachment 2 is a handful of forms that are required, and I put required by GrantWorks, but this is required for the use of the federal ARPA funds. There's some checks and balances that have to be done there. So those are sample forms are in attachment 2. So to get this RFP published and out on the street, we'll have to finalize it. And the version that I provided to Chad last week that got distributed, we had marked as draft. The reason we put draft is because until you guys approve it, it's a draft. We can make a few changes. We can make changes. But once everything's approved, we'll take the draft off and it'll be the final version. That'll be what's pushed out and put on the website and all that. So the version that y'all looked at was version 3, we call it internally. Since that version 3 has been, reviewed over the last week, we made a couple small tweaks, and I'm going to go over them here. And this would be version 4, let's say. But Chad noticed a handful of things that we wanted to incorporate in. One of them being that y'all have an existing fire department repeater in camp. We missed that, so we got that added in. We also added in a small portion regarding system monitoring. And what system monitoring is you've got this radio system and the vendor can monitor your system remotely. And if there's any alarms, anything going wrong with it, they can notify you. And so that's generally what system monitoring is. And we kind of tightened up the system monitoring wording that was already in the document and added a few more sentences to that. There was also a preferred site list, tower site list. And we adjusted a few sites up on the preferred list from the candidate list. And then we also added 10 dispatch headsets. And those are the headsets that they wear when they're dispatching. So we've got one in there for each dispatcher and Jennifer. So that we put that in there. Sometimes we don't put that in an RFP just because personal preference. Some dispatchers like this brand or that brand. It's almost like buying a Bluetooth headset or device for your cell phone, just kind of user preference. But we got 10 of those added in there. And then any other changes that come out of today, we can add in there as well before we make it final. One thing also before making it final is we want to confirm the mandatory pre-proposal conference. And the pre-proposal conference is mandatory for everybody who is going to provide a proposal for this RFP. We want to see some representative attend this meeting. This meeting will be with the stakeholders. It'll be us. It'll be probably Sandy will be there. All stakeholders, also GrantWorks has their opportunity to address the folks that are there and to explain how important it is to do X, Y, and Z because this is federal ARPA money. So we'll want to confirm that mandatory pre-proposal conference location. We were kind of thinking that the regional airport, because they've got a big room with a big screen and it's kind of set up, but we're completely open to where that would be. And I think we've identified a date and we'll go over that in just a second. We'll need to adjust any other dates in the RFP. And once all those things are kind of resolved, then we can publish it. And so the way it'll be advertised and distributed, there's a requirement because it's, again, federal money that it be advertised in the newspaper. It'll also be posted on the county's website. We will also send a notification to the 3 major P25 trunk radio vendors, that being E.F. Johnson, Motorola, and L3 Harris. We will send their local sales people an email notifying them that the RFP is on the county's website. So we'll kind of give them a heads up. We will also be sending an email to these 7 HUD community folks here so that they are properly notified and have the opportunity to provide a proposal on this as well. And again, that's a requirement because of the ARPA funds. And so that's the way we'll advertise and distribute the RFP. So addendums to the RFP, these answer questions and provide clarifications. It's the only official method for questions, changes to the RFP, and any clarifications. Somebody picking up the phone and calling Sandy, or if they happen to have my information, calling me or calling Chad or calling anybody, that is not the formal process. The formal process has to be through submitted questions through the appropriate means, and then answers that come back in an addendum to the RFP. So we know that there'll be addendum 1 to the RFP will be a Word file of the RFP. When we release it, it'll be a PDF, but there'll be a Word file. There'll be an Excel file of the proposal pricing sheet so they can enter their prices and it calculates them. There'll be a Word file of those sample forms that are required, like GrantWorks and due to the ARPA funds. And then there's going to be some GIS files. Those GIS files are the county boundary and some of the city's city limit boundaries. And we want to provide those because we're asking the vendors to do a detailed analysis on how much signal from the antennas are contained inside of the city boundaries. And so we want to see calculated numbers, 95%, 93%, 97%. So we provide them those contours and they can do those calculations. The reason for the RFP document, I believe, was around 120 pages long, something like that. And the reason we provide it in Word is the vendors individually have to go into every section and subsection in that RFP, and they have to say agree, or they say disagree, or kind of agree, and then explain it. So they have to do what's called a point-by-point analysis of every little part of that RFP. And that is very important because when we get those proposals back, we analyze those. And the first thing we do is look through there and find anything that is either a partial agree or do not agree. And those are the things that would be, you know, kind of a flag. They're not agreeing with this part of what we're asking for. The selected vendor's point-by-point response becomes part of the contract as well. If there's any dispute down the road and they say, oh, we weren't supposed to provide that. We just look back in the RFP, they said they agreed. That's documentation right there. Proof. So that's one of the parts of the contract that there's a whole hand full of documents that make up that contract. And this is one of them. So that's why the document's so long. There's a lot of things we wanted to discuss and have them say yes, yes, yes. And the more detail, the more visibility we have on exactly what they're providing. And there's no questions on what they're providing in the provided price. So as far as the schedule and critical dates associated with this RFP, so we're having the discussion and consideration for vote today for the RFP release. If there's any additional changes that need to happen on the RFP, we'll try to finalize those today. Worst case in the morning. And then we'll need to adjust the dates on the RFP and make it May 12th instead of 11th. So we're thinking that we will advertise and post the RFP either today or tomorrow. We will release the first addendum, which is really just providing those Word documents and Excel files probably on Friday of this week. Get those in those vendors' hands. Then there'll be another release, addendum 2 release, probably before the following Friday. And what that one is going to be is some details about the vendor that y'all just selected to do the dispatch console furniture. So we want to pass drawings and information about that console furniture to these folks. And so we'll get that kind of squared away and pushed out as a second addendum. And addendums after that would be questions that come up that are submitted through Sandy that she sends to us, and we get those answered and get those redistributed, posted on the county website. The pre-proposal, the mandatory pre-proposal conference, there could be questions that come up there. We'll document those questions and those will be answered as well through the process. Again, the mandatory pre-proposal conference, we have set for Thursday, May 26th. So that's just a little over 2 weeks away from now. Proposals are due on Tuesday, June 21st at 4 p.m. If you guys would like to adjust that to 2 o'clock or something like that, we can do that. we just put that in for now as kind of a placeholder, but we think June 21st gives them enough time to review the proposal, the RFP, prepare their proposals, attend the pre-proposal conference where we're going to give you more clarifications, make sure everybody's on the same page, and get them to submit those and get this thing moving down the road, because time is of the essence on that document. Then in June and July, that'll be during that time, there'll be the review of the proposals with all the stakeholders. There'll be vendor presentations and best and final offers in July. What that is the vendors that submitted proposals will be asked to bring their team in, do a formal presentation to the stakeholders, the court, whoever wants to attend. And that is the opportunity to really understand their team. Who are they going to have as part of their maintenance team? Where are they located? How quick can they respond to Van Zandt County? All sorts of things there. And so you get to kind of do, I guess you could say that the proposal that's submitted from a company is kind of like a resume. But before you want to hire somebody, you want to do an interview. So that's our interview process right there, is when they come in and do those presentations. So it's a really good time for you to get comfortable with the team approach that they're going to have with regards to their installers and their maintenance and all that, and ask any questions that we have to with regards to their proposals that they've already submitted. And so that'll happen in July. And then as far as best and final offers, we can adjust numbers. We can ask for, different pricing and do different things there, but that'll all happen in July as well. We think in late July, there'll be a vendor selected, and then a contract executed with them late July, early August. Those are the critical dates. So the next RFP after this one will be for the tower infrastructure. And that's really towers, equipment shelters, or enclosures, generators, the site development, the site enhancements and installation, no RF equipment, no radio frequency equipment. All of that is coming in this RFP that we're considering today. So we are currently working on the framework for the tower infrastructure RFP. We want to have that one pretty much as far as we can get it. So once a vendor is selected for this first RFP, those specifications that are part of their design that go into this tower infrastructure RFP, those can be put in there, and shortly thereafter, that one can be advertised as well for proposals to be submitted. The tower infrastructure RFP is very similar to this P25 RFP because the terms and conditions are going to be the same. All the SAM verifications and the forms that are required because of the use of federal funds, that's all the same. The hub solicitation, exactly the same. The advertising and distribution, exactly the same. Really what's going to be different is the specifications and the performance requirements that are going to be in there. We need a tower that's this tall and it's going to be over here on this piece of property, and we need a shelter and a generator, and we need some crushed rock, around the tower to keep, vegetation from growing, and a fence, security fence, and things like that. That's what we're talking about here. So again, once the P25 vendor is selected, we'll have their design and the site locations, the tower loading, the utility and generator requirements, and we'll put that into this RFP. That's really kind of it. I'd open it up for questions that anyone may have with regards to the P25 RFP. Keith and I, Keith, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We will answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Black or Keith?
I got one,
Yes, sir.
and I think I talked to Commissioner Brad this morning about it. The vendors that are working on the proposals, are they going to propose with the present towers we have in place now?
That's a good question. So we have provided in the RFP some of your existing tower sites now, We provided them with what's called greenfield locations, and that's really just a raw piece of land right now that the tower could be built on. And we've also allowed the vendors the flexibility to propose sites that they may know, other tower sites. The thought is to try to use tower sites that don't require monthly site rent. But there are sites out there that fall into that category. For instance, down in precinct 2, there's the DPS tower. That one does not require site rent for the county to use it. And so we went down there and did a survey. Chad went with us. Actually, we met a technician down there from DPS, and we looked around, and tower looks like it, could support the equipment. There'll have to be a structural analysis done by a structural engineer to confirm that. Once we know what, how many microwave dishes and antennas are needed. But the equipment space is limited. So if you guys were to use that tower, let's just say as an example, then y'all might have to put a new shelter there to house your equipment, because the shelter there now is just, there's not enough room for your equipment. Plus, there'd be a little bit of, not a security issue, because again, that's public safety stuff there too, but the air conditioning unit was kind of a window, and the generator might not have enough capacity to power your equipment in the case of a power outage. So there are some site upgrades that might have to be done at that tower site, but that tower is built and it's there. So we put those types of sites into the proposal and asked the vendors to evaluate this group of sites. And if they know of any other sites that they would like to propose that they think does a really good job, maybe they think they can put one site, and at one point the county kind of was thinking too. One site saves a lot of money, first two. So we want to see what those vendors are proposing. And yes, absolutely, they can propose existing sites. They can propose any of those greenfield sites where a tower can be built, and any sites that they know about could be put in there as well. And during a best and final offer, we could even ask some questions about that. And that's, again, that is all related to coverage, those site locations, and getting the building penetration that's required, so that when the officers or the firefighters go into the buildings to provide safety services, that they can talk out on those radios back to the system and get to dispatch and get to other officers and stuff as well. So that in building coverage is real important. I like what Chad says. Chad says if you can get that building coverage the way you want it, the outdoor coverage takes care of itself. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. You get that strong enough signal in the buildings for it to work, and it's going to work really probably pretty much 98%, 95% throughout the rest of the county. We know there's a little tough area down there as the county comes down to that point in the southeast corner. So that's a little tough area there. But we've got some things in the RFP to address how to get better coverage down there. A couple different options. So the great thing about this RFP is there's going to be a lot of pricing we ask for, but you're not going to necessarily buy everything that we get pricing for. We're going to then evaluate that and come up with, just like we did for the dispatch console equipment, we'll evaluate what's absolutely needed and make a decision and do best and final offers and things like that. Any other questions?
The radios, they'll be priced per unit, and we buy how many units we want.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So what we did is we've put in for the, let's start with the portable radios. That's the one that's handheld, or it's on the belt and you're talking on a mic up here. We've asked for, I believe, 5 or 6 different classes of that radio. The lower tier radio would be used by folks that really aren't public safety. As you step up, these tiers of radios get more sophisticated, more expensive, of course. And so what we did is we looked at the number of radios that are required, working with Chad to get those counts. And we said, okay, well, road and bridges don't need that top end radio, so that's kind of this radio class. Let's call it class 2. So we said, okay, whatever the count is, I don't have it off the top of my head, but let's say it's 60 radios. So we have 60 in there for that class. say class one, maybe we weren't sure if any class ones, so we just asked for a unit of one, so we see that price. We can always shift that number, you know, in the best of time offers, but we do have some numbers in there to give the vendors an idea of how many radios may be purchased. And when we don't think that the class of radio that we've asked for is associated with one of the user groups, then we did ask for one, so that we can at least see what that price is. Maybe that next tier radio is only $50 more, and it makes a lot more sense to get those nice set of features, you know, better display, whatever the case may be there, if your funds allow, you know, especially, you know, $50 times 200, it adds up. But, and then we did the same thing with the mobile radios. So there's different tiers of mobile radios, and some of the differences are, some of them are a single frequency band. So 700, 800 megahertz, which is what the system would use. And then the next one is what's called a multi-band radio. So it can work on VHF, UHF if you wanted to too, and 700, 800. So it can have all these different frequency bands in it. And it's really just kind of a software upgrade. You could upgrade it later on too. And there's some other functions and features there that as you step up. The top tier radio is the portables are for the firefighters, and they have big knobs, and they're special for when the firefighters have gloves and stuff on, and they have all sorts of special audio features and high noisy environments and things like that, and they're waterproof, of course, most of them all are, but, and then man down capabilities and things like that, so that the fire portable radios are really the most expensive. So yes, absolutely. We'll get pricing on a bunch of different types of radios. We can evaluate those. We can shift numbers and make decisions before a purchase is made.
Any other questions? We're about to time out on this.
Sure.
This topic, we're allowed 30 minutes per topic. Any other questions to Mr. Black on the RFPs of the P25 trunk radio system? Okay. Is there a motion to accept RFP proposals for the P25 trunk radio system? Or is there any corrections or any additions or any changes you want to make, or is this the final?
So the final would be, I'm going to step back real quick. The final would be the version you all looked at with these, with a few additions that we made because of things that Chad pointed out, like adding the 10 dispatcher headsets, modifying the site list. Just briefly, we took a couple of sites from this list and put it up in this list, so they were both already in the RFP. Kind of clarified the system monitoring, and then added in that Canton Fire Department repeater site so that that gets integrated with dispatch as part of the new dispatch center in the interim solution, let's call it. So really it's that if the mandatory meeting location at the airport is okay, and all the dates that are in the RFP seem to be okay with you guys, we definitely went with the mandatory proposal conference on a Thursday, because I think y'all have a court on Wednesday. So we stayed away from Wednesdays on that. So we went on Thursday there. That's probably a 2-hour meeting at least, I would say. And then those pre-proposal conferences that come later on by the vendors, those are probably going to be 2 hours per vendor. So maybe even up to 4. So that could be a day or day and a half, but that's down the road. If y'all are okay with all the dates and all that are in the proposal now, and y'all don't have any other changes, then I think we're, I'll work with Sandy and Chad this afternoon to see what we can do to get it on the county's website today and notify these vendors so that they can get going this time.
Is there a motion?
So made.
Got a motion by Commissioner LaPrade. Is there a second?
Second, Pearson.
Second by Commissioner Pearson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Black.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discuss and consider accepting request for proposals for the preservation and
Preservation.
Preservation.
Conservation.
conservation, imaging, indexing, and microfilming of files. Okay, who is addressing that? Is he up?
I'm here with William Bass with Grant Works this year. Yes, I submitted that to the commissioner. This is, yeah, again, for the proposal for the file conversion project using the American Rescue Plan project money.
Okay, microfilming of files of district clerk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because it just said microfilming of files.
Oh, yes, this is for the correct. This is for the district clerk's office.
Okay. And you've got the request for proposals ready to go out?
Yes, sir. I need to get with Sandy on putting the ad out in the newspaper. There will be an ad that will need to run simultaneously with this proposal. But yeah, this is, as far as I understood, we need to get this RFP out to the commissioners for their approval before we move forward.
Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Bass?
No, that's all I have in that proposal.
Okay.
That's what will be sent out.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the request for proposals for the preservation, conservation, imaging, indexing, and microfilming of files of the district clerk's office? Got a motion by Commissioner Melton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion for Mr. Bass? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Bass.
Yep.
This item number 11, discuss and consider interlocal agreement with Hunt County. Chad, you want to address the court on that?
Yes, sir. The county judge over in Hunt County, Judge Stovall, reached out to me. They're pursuing a P25 trunk radio system similar as to what we are. And they're wanting to see about piggybacking off our contract with Trot. They realize the need to have a company that can thoroughly cover, as y'all seen that Trot's doing. And so they sent over an interlocal agreement that would allow us to share on bids and such. I've run this by Tonda and Sandy, and they both said it looks good. I'm asking the court to agree to this interlocal agreement with Hunt County. I make the motion to that effect.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner LaFred, second by Commissioner Melton. Any questions or discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 12, discuss and consider submitting application to Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority for grant to build an exit ramp for traffic to enter Interstate 20 westbound from Van Zandt County Road 2629. Mr. Melton, you want to address the court?
Yes, sir. Judge, Commissioner, this is a project I've been working on for about 10 years. I submit applications for the annual funding award every year. And I think this year we have a good chance of getting this done. I've got a letter from you, Judge. I appreciate that. And I've submitted that. And if we get this annual funding award, it will be no money out of Van Zandt County. It'll come from, the money will come from East Texas Regional Mobility Authority, and the county won't be out any funds at all. So I think we stand a good chance of getting this. It's been needed for I don't know, for 16 years. So I make a motion that we we approve this.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Melton to submit application to build the exit ramp to I-20 off of Van Zandt County Road 2629. Got a second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion?
Is this for actual construction of it or just a study?
This is for construction.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, they've got a meeting coming up. I think you
Yeah.
plan on attending,
Plan on-
which when I talked to the lady, she said that meeting, which I knew you was planning on attending, was to help with the application process, go over to, and so, but, any other questions, discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 13, discuss and consider approval of Dry Lacey Estates in Precinct 2.
Yes, sir. This is a subdivision that's going up in precinct 2 off of Van Zandt County Road 2501. And the applicant has met all the rules and regulations according to our subdivision rules and regulations. So I make a motion, we approve this for the filing
Okay,
in the county clerk.
got a motion by Commissioner Melton. Is there a second?
Second, Pearson.
Second by Commissioner Pearson. Any questions or discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 14, discuss and consider approval of W Street addition in precinct 3.
Yes, sir. I'm going to bring you gentlemen some very unique situations today. This subdivision here is a 12 lot subdivision or addition, however you want to refer it to. Does not 12 lots are all greater than 5 acres. They are not required to come to Van Zandt County for approval. They're not building any roads, you're not building any public spaces, but they want to. If all developers would do this, we wouldn't need that 1/2 inch thick subdivision guidelines that we have to go by. So I'm here today on behalf of them to ask the court to approve this plat for filing purposes, and also a variance on the application fee and the final fee, because they don't have to come to us. I feel like if we charge them that, we're gouging them for doing that. So that's my motion is.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Pearson. Is there a second? Got a second by Commissioner Melton. Any questions or discussion?
Question on that. Can you do some sort of a letter or anything from your office so that when they come just to file their, I think $36 filing fee over here, that we know that you're not charging 500, because we're gonna send them back. The girls won't know.
They'll have a sheet of paper, it'll just say no charge, no fee.
Okay,
We're fixing to redo that to include that on the payment form.
okay. That's
Yes.
perfect.
Now, their filing fees will still be due. This is just the application.
Correct, okay.
Any other questions or discussion?
So you can make sure we get that note that we need to do that on that application.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 15, discuss and consider approval of Big Tex campgrounds in precinct 4. Mr. West, you want to address that?
I do. This is not a subdivision. This is people's land. All they're doing, they're making campgrounds out of it. The only reason that I put it on here, they've gone through all of our process. They've done the application. They've done all of the, gave everybody the things that were issued on the checkoff list. You should have a copy in your pretty little folders they provided us, each of them were different color. So I'm just asking for the approval. At some point, if they ever want to build houses or anything on there, they're gonna have to come back and make a different application. But for this, they're not doing anything that would affect our subdivision.
Okay. And that's a motion.
Yes, sir.
We got a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner LaPrade. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, sir, just for Tim, now this, it's called a campground, but it's falls under our RV guidelines, correct?
Well, not necessarily it could, if, depending on what they're doing, they're putting some, it looked like little houses out there, but they're tents. They're not houses, what they're putting on there. So, I mean, it really doesn't fall under anything that I know of.
Well, as far as the size of the roads, are they the width that
The roads are 5 feet, while I think we call for 25, and they're 30 foot.
So there'll be plenty, the roads are the biggest thing on the RV deal, so
Right.
if there's an emergency, they can get in and
Yeah.
out.
Yes,
And, okay, that's all, that's my
they're
question.
5 feet wide is what we call for.
Yes, sir, thank you.
It's been kind of an interesting thing.
Yes, sir. It
Totally
is.
different than anything we do.
I agree.
And looking at it, I mean, this is the first of 10 of these campgrounds they want to build.
Yeah, they
They
want
want
to
to build
build.
other in small cities. So, and kind of be kind of rural. But I thought it was 72 RV sites.
Well, there are RV sites on there, but they don't know that they're gonna do any, you know. I don't know how to describe it. I think what they've done is probably good. They've done everything that we've asked them to do.
Okay.
But I don't know how to prove it as a subdivision, because it's not a subdivision.
They've done everything. They've got the electricity, they've got the sewer system approved.
Yeah, they've gotten everything that we've asked for approved. And these RV sites, they're laid out and they're all larger than what what we call for. So,
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? Being none, all in favor of approving the Big Tex Campground site in precinct 4, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 16, discuss and consider subdivision variance on sale of Rojas property on County Road 3609.
Okay, here we go. I told you I was going to be interested. The Rojas is on 2.95 acres over on County Road 3611. Excuse me. The Rojases are deceased. Linda Lacey inherited the land from the Rojases, and at the Rojases' request, when they lived there, they had always told their neighbors when they were gone, the neighbors on each side of them could have certain parts of their property. So yes, their 2.95 acres is being subdivided, but they're not establishing the subdivision. So I'm here today to ask for a variance on this and allow them to sell one neighbor, Richard King, 2 acres that joins him, and the other remaining 0.95 to the Burkharts with a meets and bounds survey. And that's my motion, that we allow them to sell that. They don't have to plat it, sell their property as they've been promised through the years, and we move on.
Okay, that's a motion by Commissioner Pearson. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion?
I would make one other comment.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chad. Our subdivision guidelines allow for the court to make variances. And we're learning this process. So as we go, we're always going to be coming back, asking for one of us commissioners, bringing it to the court, asking for the court to allow these variances. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are they just absorbing these sections into other land that these neighbors already own?
Yes, there's a few, there's a few issues with it. They are doing it, but there's some existing liens on some existing properties, and they've got to work through some legal things on that. But yes, they're combining it into, and one, the Kings have, they have 1 acre now, so now they're going to own 3 acres that are, it's all combined. And the Burkharts, I don't remember exactly, they own, I believe, a little more than that. And the 0.95 is going to join and go into theirs. Yes, they own property joined to it.
Any other questions or discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 17, discuss and consider subdivision variance on approval of 0.10 acre land trade on FM 751.
Okay, last one, this is 1/10 of an acre. There's a gentleman on 751 that owns 1 acre of land. He's surrounded by his neighbor on 3 sides. 751 is on 1 side, the other 3 sides is his neighbor, Mr. Bird. The gentleman that owns 1 acre needs some additional land on 1 side of his property to improve his septic system. Mr. Bird is interested in a little bit of land that's on the back of the 1 acre, so they're swapping, they're wanting to trade 1/10 of an acre on 1 side for 1/10 of an acre on another side. Is land being subdivided? Yes, sir, it is. So our deal says if you subdivide land, you have to plat it. I'm here to ask the court to allow variance on this, to let them sell that meets and, or let them trade, survey it meets and bounds and do their trade. And they do not have to come with us with all the things, and they do not have to plat the 1/10 of an acre.
Okay.
That's a
And there's a
motion.
motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you all very much.
I was thinking, man, if I ever decide to sell my land, I don't want y'all involved.
Yeah.
That's what-
It gets difficult, trust me.
the, Item number 18, discuss and consider approval of fiscal year 2022 budget amendments. You have the budget amendments before you. Is there a motion to approve?
So move,
Got a
Pearson.
motion by Commissioner
Second.
Pearson, second by Commissioner LaPrada. Any questions or discussion about the budget amendments? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 19, discuss and consider monthly reports submitted by various offices and departments of county government and approval of entry of same to the court's minutes as matter of record. Mr. West, you have any comment?
Yeah, this is the first meeting, of course, of the month, and we have 10 of our reports in, 10 of the 19, and so I think we're in pretty good shape. All of them look good.
Okay, got a motion to approve the report submitted. Okay, got a motion. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Melton. Any questions or discussion about any of the reports that were submitted? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 20, closed executive session. We will not need that. I placed that on there in case we had not selected a sheriff the other day. We would have it because you have to post this 72 hours, and I felt confident we was, but I wanted to cover in case we did, and we did. And so we do not need the closed executive session. So we no need to reconvene. Number 21. So that would move us to item number 22. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Got a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second? Oh,
I'll second.
oh, okay. Okay, you're throwing. Got a motion and a second on the adjourn. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir, I do need to ask something of the court and Kenny. On back to the bills, I'm sorry, Judge, tell me if I'm wrong here. Able Enterprise, do I need to make it noted that it's on our list? Able's not there, but we're gonna pay it.
It's on there.
It's on the list?
I had it.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Any other discussion about adjourning? Being none, all in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are adjourned. That may be a
Don't ever
first.
think
That
about
may be a
handling-
first.
don't ever think about handling it.
That may be a first right there.
Are we still on 22nd?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, it's either
Susan,
here
I
or
was
across.
Kenny.
Yeah.
I was
It'll be
busy. I
here.
didn't, you
It'll be
probably
in the
brought it up
courthouse,
there and I
yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
time. to look at it.
Wanted to be sworn in at midnight. And then his son.
No, no money.
He got two grandbabies.
It was on
He
the
said
air
he
today.
wanted- They were coming the next weekend. He said, "Could we do?" I said, you need to have a
It was
ceremony.
just added today.
You need that.
Thank you, Kenny.
And so he said, well, let's put it on the 22nd at 2 o'clock.
I'll be here on the 22nd. You're on your own.
I think I may be. Thank you, David.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Well,